Welcome to Sunshine Cathedral's Queer God Squad. It's Friday, August 16th, 2024. I'm Reverend Dr. Darrell Watkins, the senior minister here at Sunshine Cathedral.
I am Reverend Dr. Robert Griffin, the executive minister. Faith and religion can be complicated for the LGBTQ+ community. Surveys show that evangelical faith is the justification for the greatest attacks on the LGBTQ+ community.
I am Reverend Kevin Tisdall, the Minister of Education. The Queer God Squad is going to explore our religious community. Let's explore the big news of the day and what it means to you.
I am Reverend Dr. Ann Atwell, the Minister of Connections. This is live, and then we are available on demand. If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Join the conversation on your favorite streaming platform and social media.
At Sunshine Cathedral, we're here to tell you that you are God's miracle, not God's mistake.
This is the Sunshine Cathedral perspective. Religious scuffle in Wales over homosexuality. BBC Online News this week reported that a reverend who stated in a magazine that the Bible condemns homosexual acts has issued an apology for any offense caused by his remarks. Rev Peter Harries Davies wrote in the Welsh-language publication Gair y Dydd, Word of the Day, that the Bible views sexual change going against God's natural order. The publication is a periodical representing Presbyterians, Baptists, Methodists, Catholics, Anglicans, and Congregationalists. Rev Dylan Rhys Parry, who recently shared his experience of coming out, found these comments hurtful. While Davies, a Baptist, apologized for the offense taken by Parry, he nevertheless made it clear that, in his view, God does disapprove of homosexual sex, and went on to thank God for heterosexual couplings. Reverend Parry, in response, said he'd have to think seriously about whether he would continue to read the magazine. Reverend Parry defended the LGBTQ+ community, saying that the queer community is one that has been challenged and insulted consistently. He added, and I quote, "I do not expect our Christian community in Wales to add to the struggle. God created me for what I am, and I do not see myself or anyone else from the LGBTQ+ community as a problem," end quote. The Queer God Squad, unsurprisingly, stands in agreement with Reverend Dylan Rhys Parry. And we absolutely do. And thank you, Reverend Parry, for standing up for those who say that God disapproves of homosexual lives and homosexual sex. Okay. And it saddens me that we still have to kind of speak out and make those statements, that the religious communities say that we are not created in divine image, because we are, I am, we all are. That's that. Full stop, mic drop. But I also wanted to point out a sentence in there that Reverend Parry said that he's going to consider not reading the magazine again. Exactly. I really like that. If it's not working for you, don't read it. And I think that's something that a lot of us need to do. I think, when I look at the queer community, maybe we need to stand up and speak out and say, we're going to boycott this until it's doing right for us. We can and we should do that. It's not other communities that can boycott. We can do that kind of thing as well.
Yeah, and I thought he was really smart too. He didn't debate theology.
No.
He didn't pay biblical tit for tat.
No.
He just said, this is hurtful.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm not here for that.
Yep.
And I thought that was really just make it human.
Yeah.
That's mean. You're talking about people. You're talking about their love. You're talking about their lives. You're diminishing it. You're demoralizing them. And I'm just going to speak out against that. Well, but I have, I have this belief, and your belief that you're stating in that way is harmful. And so I just thought that was so good of him. The dogma can be brutal, and Scripture can be weaponized. There's no doctrine that is more important than people.
Yeah.
And so if your doctrine is your reason to be mean or hurtful to people, the doctrine's getting it wrong, or using the doctrine wrong, or the doctrine needs to be thrown out. And I just thought Perry very, very just subtly and kindly made that point. Okay, yeah, you believe whatever you believe. P.S. I'm a person. Your belief about my love is not more important than my love. And I just thought that was smart of him to do that. That love, if what you've boiled it down to, once you boiled it all away, if what you're left with isn't love, you didn't have the right stuff to begin with.
Right.
And so yeah, didn't make it be an intellectual pursuit or a political debate. He's just like, that's hurtful, and quit it.
No. Yeah.
I just want one question for the author. But how do you know with 100% certainty that God disapproves? You know, that's the thing I want to know. It's like you just write with a certain certainty of what you believe God will say and what God knows. I just don't buy that. I've just dropped that a long time ago. Well, God told me. Well, God can tell me. He doesn't need to tell you in order to tell me. And whatever you think you're trying to impose on someone else's religion and their belief, just stop it. You know, just stop it. Find another way to write your journal that's more positive and uplifting and supportive for people versus saying, this is what God told me, and God told me that your life is wrong. Get over it.
No.
Yeah, and that's a really unfortunate Christian legacy. That do you remember the homes for wayward mothers and there's always people like you're waving your finger, or the girls would have to go to convents and maybe their kids would be taken from them and adopted out, or just all of this abuse is because you're wrong and you're bad and you don't fit in and all of the shame and the guilt. We've got to do better.
Yeah.
And we've got to atone for not having done better sooner.
That's right.
And so, I don't use the word sin a lot. It's not that I don't believe that, that we don't miss the mark and that it can't have devastating effects, but I just think most of it comes from the people calling us sinners. But I think I think the church has sinned more than any individual that they've tried to demoralize or demonize or dehumanize. And so, And when people say, well, God said because the Bible said, the Bible is not God.
Exactly.
Right.
That's right.
P.S. PPS. God didn't write it. What you were saying that God clearly said a handful of times, and no two of them back to back.
Right.
So no, and not once in the context of love or mutuality. As few as they are, every single so-called condemnation is always in the context of violence or exploitation. Love, even attraction, not condemned. Now, if it were condemned, just because it's in the Bible doesn't make it good. There's slavery, there's polygamy, there's war, there's child sacrifice. There's all kinds of stuff in the Bible that I call BS on. So if the Bible did say gays are bad, one more thing that I add to the BS list.
There you go.
But P.S. it doesn't. So it's even a moot point to begin with. So yeah, when it's that at best ambiguous, maybe take people's lives and feelings into more consideration than your narrow interpretation of few verses of ancient texts, the original of which
Nobody
even exist.
Right, right.
I just want to give kudos to Reverend Parry for not getting in the mud, just saying what you did just hurt me to my core. And I have to reconsider whether or not I want to associate with people who want to harm me.
I don't want to be hurt again.
I don't want to be hurt again. I don't want you to decide that I am less than whole because I don't conform to what you think whole is.
Right.
And I have a feeling that if I go into your lives, I can find places where you missed the mark. We all miss the mark at some point.
Right.
But to say that how I love is somehow less than pure because you don't understand it, you don't need to understand it. I have never asked you to be my partner. I have never asked you to do anything with me sexually. But I am going to demand that you respect me as a person. And that's all Parry said. That's all he said, and that was so perfect.
As the governor of Minnesota so often says, and so beautifully, mind your damn business.
Hello. I love you.
Your damn
All right,
damn
perfect.
business.
Well, that's today with the Queer God Squad. We want to thank you for joining us. We're here daily at 3 p.m. to have some fun and to discuss what our LGBTQ plus community is talking about.
Sunshine Cathedral is the world's largest progressive queer church. Progressive, queer, and God are words that naturally should go together. And we are all in this together. Remember that.
You are God's miracle, not God's mistake.
Until next time, we are the Queer God Squad. Goodbye.